Alright, there we go. We're now cooking, possibly with gas. Which is a good thing, I hear. So, the way that seasons work on the East Coast now is that it's summer for about 6 months, and then one day it becomes winter for 6 months. It's cold now. Oh, it just got cold out of nowhere, man. I went from overheating yesterday to now I'm like my hands are. I'm sitting here in my room. My hands are cold. I want to shrink wrap my windows. I'll have to check the heating in my apartment, but it should just be on. My apartment's got central heating. It's one of the nice things about it. But boy, is it chilly. Alright. We are officially back at it again. Back at it again with the blank screen. Oh, why does this always happen? There we are. So, last we left off, we were done with the color on these two little guys. Now we just gotta do the color on their little buddies. Yep. Just adjusting my workspace here. Okay, so let's pull it up and get going. But yeah, no, it's a pain because honestly, I can't say that I like the heat, but I don't like the cold more. I can't stand being cold. It's legitimately uncomfortable for me on a visceral level to be chilly. It's like I can't do anything. If I'm overly hot, that's not good. I don't like that, but I can work with it, you know? If I'm cold, it just saps the will to live out of me, man. It's not a good scene. Not a good scene at all. Not one bit, man. Making the executive decision to resize these just a little more. Yeah. That gets them at about the same size with their buddies. Might have gone a little bit too far, actually. That's better. So. Okay. Whoops. The paint bucket is a powerful tool. The problem with it is it's a powerful tool. Whoops. Shift this whole thing over just a little bit. Give you some more room to work. Now, I've got a question to ask myself. Where is it? There we are. Do I want to go so far as to write stop on the stop sign? Do I want to go on that level of detail? First of all, I gotta make it bigger, frankly. I gotta go back to the sketch and make it bigger. But, second of all, yeah, the answer is yes. The answer is definitely yes. That's closer to the size of an actual stop sign. And honestly, in this kind of illustration, bigger is always better when it comes to oversized weapons. Makes it look cool. We love seeing a guy hit another guy with a hammer. We love, even more, so much more, a guy hitting another guy with an oversized hammer. Or in the case of Sonic the Hedgehog, a pink lady hedgehog? I don't know what Amy Rose is. I don't actually do anything Sonic. So it's like, okay, one of them is a girl. She has a hammer. That's it. That's the extent of my knowledge. Knuckles exists. I know that. I am aware of. I have been made aware of Knuckles. Allegedly, there is a second emo Sonic. Presumably, his name is very evocative of his overall mood. And then, of course, everyone knows that Sonic has two distinct eyes and a set of human teeth. Everybody knows this. It was a part of the hit movie Sonic the Movie. I know, but for real, Sonic the Hedgehog is a phenomenon I do not take part in, but I just kind of like... I'm like over in the... I'm like in the corner watching it as it goes down, and I'm like, y'all really care about this fucking hedgehog. I get it. You know, it's a fandom like any other fandom. But, you know, like, it's funny, you know, a franchise that has... like, the Sonic fandom feels like it's unique in that they're so internally devoted, but the spillover into the outside world and the rest of the culture is way more minimal than any other fandom of their size and their level of devotion. Like, Star Wars fans are not cut off from the culture, right? Star Wars is both a very big popular fandom and your aunt who has never seen science fiction anything knows about Star Wars, right? You know, Star Trek. Mario. Here's another example. You know, the core Mario fandom is pretty devoted to Mario. But you see, if you're not in the Mario fandom, you see Mario, right? There are jokes about him on Family Guy. Chris Pratt was like, Mario? Yeah, I'll do that. I know who that is. That sounds like a good idea for me to do. I'm gonna have to adjust that later. I'm gonna have to adjust that now. That looks like doesn't look good. It doesn't look the way I want it to. This is so difficult. If I wanted to be a calligrapher, I would have majored in calligraphy. No, but Sonic the Hedgehog, I tell a lie. You will see one or two references to Sonic in the larger culture. Actually, no, I take that back. The only time you see references to Sonic in the larger cultural discourse for the Mario mentioned, where they're referencing the media, but the people who are making these references aren't necessarily fans who are, well, like, not fans, like fandom fans who are up on like the internal discourse of the fandom. With Sonic stuff, anything gets talked about in the larger culture is being talked about by people who are in that fandom and like know the internal beef. Like, yeah, it's unique in that way. It's massive, devoted but doesn't spill out. The mainstream appeal of the art is completely incongruous with the internal devotion of the fans, and you like it's yeah no like you I don't know, that's not like unusual, right? Or not entirely unknown. There's other examples of that, but you know, it's just like, I don't know, it's just like fucking, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, I don't know, like, I feel like if you were to like give me a bunch of media franchises and then guess which one has this devoted like fucking fan base that'll stick around for years, even when the games, like a good game doesn't come out for like a decade. I wouldn't guess Sonic the Hedgehog. I guess that Mario was like, had that devotion, or like, you know, fucking, I don't know, League of Legends. But no, like fucking, Sonic, man. People really love that blue piece of shit. I'm kidding, he's alright. He's okay. He can eat a chili dog in my general vicinity any day. Just don't get any like fucking chili dog shit on me, man. Because I know he's gonna fucking eat it really fast, and that's not conducive for hygiene or cleanup. He's got a devil may care attitude, so you just know that in real life he's fucking disgusting. That's what happens when you have a devil may care attitude. And there was a game he turned into a werewolf. The thing is that, like, the media that I pay attention to, I see just enough about Sonic to know, like, about the werewolf thing and about fucking I mean, everybody knew about the movies. But I see it from the fandom. Like, the fandom puts out memes or media or whatever, and I kind of see it on my feed, just like, you know, pass through the aether. Cultural osmosis, that's the term. Yeah, I've never played a Sonic game. I have no plans to play a Sonic game. I'm sure they're nice. There's that one where they're on skateboards. I remember that from a kid. There was one where they were riding rails on a snowboard, and that was the whole game. You were on a snowboard on a rail. It was like Monorail Crime Simulator 2007, whenever the fuck it came out. 2010 or something, I don't know. It was like, yo, let's get a skateboard and go on these things that are clearly not meant for snowboards. Let's get a snowboard and then not board in the snow. Let's instead board on these train tracks that are clearly a part of some sort of transportation infrastructure. What could possibly go wrong? Nobody said that because that's Bubsy's catchphrase. You can't take that away from Bubsy. But speaking of the early days of gaming, I did have another idea for this stream that I'm going to do eventually. I'm interested in getting into very, very simplistic game design, like no code level stuff. I'm not making, you know, anything impressive, but you do have game makers like Godot, and I'm looking at other ones specifically for some kind of like 16-bit thing. If I can find something where you can make a little 16-bit platformer, that would be real nice. I can make pixel art for it, I could design some levels, do it all on stream, have a nice little thing for people to enjoy and watch me create. I do currently have something like that, specifically for a Wolfenstein-style game. The drawback of that is a Wolfenstein-style game. And I'm not talking about like, fucking the Wolfenstein that you've probably seen, BJ Blazkowicz, like this fucking guy with a lot of polygons. I'm talking like the OG like Wolfenstein from like the fucking whenever it came out in like 1896. Yeah, the original like one of the first person shooters before the original Doom Wolfenstein. There is a game maker, no code game maker that I have for that, where I can just make a game of that, make levels, make uh, um, yeah, make levels, upload pixel art to make custom graphics for it, make environments, etc., etc. Make a full-fledged game. Drawbacks to that, of course, are that the tools to do anything with that are extremely limited, because that is a game where the technology was extremely limited. I mean, literally, it's called, the tech they use for that is called ray tracing, except it's not the fancy-ass fucking ray tracing you use to make your computer explode with Minecraft. This is a non-true 3D game, so literally it is a two-dimensional map, and what it is doing, it is ray tracing the perspective that you're looking at to project walls up from the ground and create something that seems 3D but isn't in real time. There's no true three-dimensionality going on, basically. Everything is just a projection up from a 2D map of these, pixel textures. And that means you can't do a skybox, I don't think. It means you're pretty much limited to, you're in like a room, you're in a bunker, you're wandering around. Like Doom, you can go upstairs. Doom, you can, have platforms, and there's verticality in Doom, whereas in Wolfenstein there isn't at all, none whatsoever. It's just forward and back, left and right. Yeah, and so the result of that is your creativity is pretty much limited to, okay, what can I do in like a bunker? What can I do in a completely flat space? I can make a maze, but how engaging is a maze? So it's a tool, excuse me, that I've played around a little bit, but I haven't had the energy, the chutzpah to do anything interesting with. Damn, honestly, you know what else? There's a Doom maker that you can have. I ought to just do that one, man. I ought to just make my own Doom clone. There was a whole genre of gaming for the longest time. Not the longest time, for like 10 minutes in like the 90s. Not 10 minutes. Point is, there was the original Doom, and then there was a whole genre of FPS games with pretty much the same technology and pretty much the same, yeah, pretty much the same technology and tools of Doom. And then something else happened, and then there was Half-Life. That something else happening was important because, like, Half-Life didn't just come out of nowhere. There's a lot of stuff between Doom and Half-Life, but when you talk about the history of gaming, especially first-person perspective gaming, those were like two of the big leaps forward in the 90s and early 2000s that shaped the way things are today. It's a kind of thing where yeah, like I say that, and there's so many other steps that happened that I'm personally not familiar with. There's so many other games in that lineage in that development cycle that were valuable, that made a lot of a mark, that don't have any modern staying power. We remember the real hits. We remember Doom and we remember Half-Life, because it's very hard not to. But yeah, no, only the people who were there remember all the intermediary steps. Um, I think his channel. There's a guy here on YouTube. I think his channel's called Civvy11. He's reviewed a lot of those games, kind of like doing sort of like retro gaming content for the PC crowd, like the early PC gaming crowd with the FPS games. And yeah, no, it's really interesting stuff. What am I looking up? I'm looking up a thing. What am I looking up? Oh yeah. I need a color reference for the computer console. It is good to watch the sunrise while I do this. It gives me strength. But anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah. No, Civvy11, he's a great channel. He's kind of an OG content reviewer, a la like the Nostalgia Critic or whatever the fuck, or like OG JonTron back when he did game reviews instead of just React content. Which I'm not even casting aspersions on JonTron's React content. He's actually putting an effort. Flawed man that he is. I mean, he's from New York. You know, you got to grade him on a curve. You know what I mean? You know, coming from that city. You know, this is baggage. You know what I mean? But anyway, But yeah, damn, what the fuck was I saying? Oh yeah. But no, CV11, he does good content, and he goes over just like all these, you know, games from the like pixel art and early polygonal graphics era of gaming, mostly FPS games, almost exclusively FPS games. Games that you've never heard of. Games that have been almost otherwise completely forgotten. Well, not even forgotten by my generation, because we were like goo goo gaga babies when this stuff was coming out, okay? This guy's like older than me by like a decade at least. Probably older. Yeah, point being, yo, I got the size of this completely wrong, probably. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Look at this. This needs to be bigger. This needs to be taller. This needs to be taller. Actually, I can get away. You know what I can get away with doing? I can get away with just going like this. Come here. Yeah, so it should be nice and... Okay. I've got you, bastard. Wait. No, I didn't want this part. Wow. That one was faster. And then go like... this. And then go like this. Wonders of digital art, ladies and gentlemen. Wonders of digital art. So, but yeah, it's the whole forgotten era of these games that, like, you know, are freaking less than a gigabyte, have, you know, the graphics that can run on like a Windows 95 computer, that were like people's entire world, man. There was like an entire gaming scene around this stuff, and they've still got old adherents like, you know, CV, who's like doing these videos about them, but otherwise they're just not in the culture, you know? It's fascinating to consider how much gets left behind. Yeah, games where their cultural context doesn't even make sense anymore. Like there was like one or two of them called it was one called like Hexen, right? And it's an FPS game set in a fantastical setting. So you've got melee weapons that have a limited range and you have to get close, but a lot of it's like friggin' spell casting and stuff that acts like a gun, you know? And you're running around fighting orcs and whatever the fuck. And there's even like an RPG leveling system, an early version of it. It's very simple, you know. It's a kind of leveling system that you know see in other FPS games. You're choosing a class that has certain types of attacks, and then you're leveling up. And yeah, you look at the aesthetics of the fantasy, and it's recognizable as like your sort of like Dungeons and Dragons stuff, but at the same time, it's kind of steeped in cultural influences that do not affect the culture anymore. Like, you know, everybody's very Arnold Schwarzenegger muscle bound because they're taking from things like Conan the Barbarian and like the sword and sorcery genre, which that shit, you know, like people know what Conan the Barbarian is, right? But that for a brief time was a whole genre of fantasy. You know, sword and sorcery, I think they called it, or yeah, sword and sorcery, where, you know, all the friggin' dudes are wearing minimal clothing. They all got their chests exposed. Everything's very harsh and barbarous. The women, of course, also barely wearing any clothing. It's a genre where, you know, it was nice to have equal opportunity eye candy to an extent. Oh, I had a little disconnect there. Ooh, scary. Technical issues. Good, my computer yelled at me and told me, otherwise I wouldn't know. But anyway, a little bit of equal opportunity eye candy in that the ladies are scantily clad and the men are scantily clad. But, of course, you have the problem where the gender roles are still really segregated, where, like, the gender roles are still really baked in. It's very much a genre where the ideas of what a man and a woman should be inform the basis of what the characters are, rather than having, you know, cultural norms within the world that influence the characters, but they're people outside of that. Yeah. And of course, you know, it's all, what's the word I'm looking for? You know, cue clip of lady from React Content Fine Brothers video. This is what I hate about video games. They appeal to the male fantasy. That old joke? Yeah, no, that was the entire, like, Conan the Barbarian genre, man. That was its primary function and appeal, you know, the sort of, well, I mean, just power fantasy, parentheses, male, because at the time that was the only one that existed. We have a little bit of a, like, woman answer to that now, but it is still very disconnected from the, where am I going with this? Oh, yeah. I'll say this. Like, people look at, like, Captain Marvel and stuff and are like, yo, this is shit. And it's not really shit. I haven't seen the movie, but from everything that I've heard and everything that I've seen, people caterwaul about it, but it's not like better or worse than, like, the Ant-Man, you know what I mean? Like, in terms of, I'm not even saying that in terms of how bad it is, how bad it can be based on how Marvel does movies, you know? There's not, the, like, floor and the ceiling are not very far apart in terms of how much it can suck, how much it's able to suck, based on just how they do things. That was Marvel's, like, that was why they were so powerful for so long. They had incredible consistency. The only thing that's killed them, why they've fallen off, is because people have gotten so used to that consistency they don't even care anymore. You know, they've gotten bored of the consistency that they saw. Um, but yeah, I think to keep in mind with like Marvel, Captain Marvel, Birds of Prey, these movies that have women in them that are like people complain about, and they're like, "Oh my god, this is crap. We should go back to real movies, whatever." I think to keep in mind about them is like, unfortunately, because of the fact that Hollywood was so unwilling to acknowledge women as a audience of their own within like mainstream science fiction for so many years, which superhero movies don't really feel like they're science fiction because genres get so fucking mished and mangled together in science fiction. I mean, in superhero stories, like the boundaries between like sci-fi and fantasy and shit are so muddled. They're basically non-existent in that genre. Excuse me, I'm stretching. But no, superheroes are technically science fiction. That the infrastructure to industry infrastructure in terms of like a pool of talent, in terms of market research, in terms of genres and conventions and stereotypes that directors can rely on, because not everybody's born Scorsese, right? That directors can rely on and audiences are used to and will willingly accept. It's just smaller, it's just less, it's just underdeveloped. And so you literally like, we're not at a point where we can fairly judge these movies on a completely even playing field, because we're still figuring stuff out that, like, you know, the movies that have the more conventional gender roles, just, they already know what they're doing, because it's the same thing they've been doing for like 40 fucking years, with some modifications. We have the problem too that, like, you know, when you see a lot of movies that will like try to do like a strong female lead and will completely whiff it, because the amount of examples they have to draw on, the amount of like working examples they have to copy are not really there, you know? Like I said, not every director is Martin Scorsese. Most directors, most creatives are mimicking, are copying what they see other people do. I can't say that I am immune to that. I mean, like, I'm doing fan art right now, you know? I'm not even throwing stones here, right? Because I'm not saying they're bad for doing it. I'm just saying that that's what most of them do, for better and for worse. You know what I mean? Because, honestly, for better, because, like, you know, the average media consumer is, well, they don't consume a lot, right? You know, they've got the couple of things that they watch, but, you know, there's a reason why so many movies are, like, insist on being set in the real world, insist on being very grounded. It's because there's a limited amount of stuff that audiences are really going to go for, right? Limited amount of stuff that audiences are really going to go for. And that's largely dictated by, like, what they're already used to. They're not really willing to branch out and take in something new. Take in something that's truly like something taking something that's truly novel to what they've already experienced. Speaking of which, I am going to do something interesting. I'm going to show off this Raymaker thing that I was talking about. In the last 10 minutes. I don't know, like I said, my ability to do something, because you can see that, like, with these guys are pretty much colored, you know? So probably tomorrow I'll start on lining them. These might be done by just the beginning of next week. You know, it's a simple design. It'll take a lot less long than this VTuber, not VTuber, PNG tuber avatar that, is currently bouncing on your screen. Yeah. Still got that eye jitter. Well, like I said, work in progress. Everything is a work in progress. Right, so. There we go. Appropriate message. So. Alright. You wanna know how old this stuff is? This application is at a 4:3 aspect ratio. I can't drag it out anymore. I cannot make it wider. This is as big as it gets, dimensionally speaking. If it gets wider, it gets taller. I cannot make it more of a rectangle. This is made with the assumption that 4:3 screens are all that exists. But anyway, so yeah, no, this is your this is your map, like I was saying before, and pretty much what you have access to is you can make some walls, some Tim walls. God, I wish he was vice president. He seemed like a chill fella. The man had like friggin' hardcore corny dad energy. I respected it. Well, someday this country will learn to have nice things. God damn it, someday this country will learn to have nice things. Alright, next level. So, yeah, you can see this shit's real basic. Door. Player. I think that's a knife. Right. So. Now we've got a little level here. And we go up to game. Create game. Level must be saved for... Let's see, setting. Just remembering this tool here. Because this is so old, like even the save functions are a little bit hoisty. Like it's trying to save to System 32 right now. But if you don't know, if you are in the System 32 folder of your C drive, you are either a tech wizard or you are in deep shit or both. generally speaking, you do not want to touch that folder. You will fuck up your entire computer if you mess it up.